Hi, I'm Cindy with Reinvented Delaware, and today I'm going to show you how to mix up Miss Mustard Seed milk paint for that wash stand. Let's get to it. Okay, let's talk supplies. Miss Mustard Seed milk paint. This color is called Marzipan. Love this color. We need a mixing container. I prefer these Talenti ice cream containers, mostly because they're fun to empty, if you get my drift. Plus, they have a nice wide opening so they fit my zebra paintbrush perfectly. And they also have a screw-on lid. I don't have the lid here, but they have a screw-on lid so I can put a lid on this in between coats of paint. I need some room temperature water, not cold and not hot. So be careful if you're getting tap water. Sometimes tap water in the winter can be really cold, and in the summer it can be a little bit warm. So we just want it room temperature. We need something to measure with. In my case, I'm using this 1/4 cup measuring scoop, and I have it designated out in my workshop for milk paint mixing only. And then I need something a little unconventional. This is a artist's paintbrush. So it started out looking kind of like this. Big difference, isn't there? I like to mix the milk paint with the paintbrush because these bristles help me to smash any clumping that might happen. Let me show you about that. First of all, though, we're going to measure the paint. Now, the ratio is 1:1. In other words, if I use one measurement, one scoop in my case of paint, then I'm going to use one scoop or one filled up container of water. In this case, it's a 1/4 cup, and that's what I'm going to do. For this project that I'm going to work on, I'm going to mix up 2 of these. So there's 1 scoop, and there's the other scoop. Now, you'll notice I don't have this exactly perfect. It's not exactly level like you would flour or something like that. I've just kind of taken a scoop, I shook it to make it a little bit even, and then I dump it in. Now, even when the milk paint is dry, I want you to notice that it will adhere to the container. Milk paint, you can paint metal with milk paint, and this is just a couple of years of milk paint that has stuck on there, so it's pretty remarkable. And then I'm going to get one, because it's, remember, it's a 1:1 ratio, so I'm going to get 1 measurement of my water. So I have 2 scoops in here. For now, I'm only going to get 1 measurement of the water, and you'll see why. So pour it in there. There we go. Set that aside, and then I get my used up artist brush and I start patting it down. You can see how the powder is in there. I've got the water in there, and I'm just starting to stir. Now you can see it's getting thick, and that's because I don't have the correct amount of water for the amount of dry milk paint that I have in my container. But I want it like that because you're gonna see how it's kind of clumpy. I can take the bristles of that brush, that artist brush down here in the bottom, and I can smash all that out. I can stir and stir and stir. When I get some lumps, I can just smash them out. The reason that I mix the milk paint this way is kind of like when you're making bread dough. So when you're making bread dough, you know, you put the flour in the container, in your mixer. I have a KitchenAid mixer. You put the flour in there, and then you add the water slowly because it has to incorporate in there into the flour. Well, this milk paint, dry milk paint product is kind of the same concept. So it is easier to smash and to mix it up while it's still a little on the thick side. You can see this is a little thick. And it's just easier to do that for me. This is a trick that I've been doing for a couple of years now, and it has really helped me in getting the milk paint to mix. So while I'm stirring and stirring, I'm looking for any clumps. These containers are clear on the back. So, whoops, sorry about that. See how that's clear on the back side? And I'm able to bring any lumps up to that spot and just smash them with the bristles of that. Sometimes the painting, the stirring, can take a little while, but you don't want to skip this step. This is a really, really important step. The milk paint has to absorb the water. All the ingredients that are in the milk, in the dry milk paint, have to be soaked up by that water. So don't skip this step at all. scraping down the sides. Really good. And stirring and stirring and stirring. Make sure you get the middle, not just the outside edges. But you can see this brush really works well to get this mixed up. And that color, it's like an almond color. It's such a nice neutral beige. Love this color. It's called Marzipan, kind of like the fancy icing that comes in like sheets that you can decorate these beautiful cakes with. All right, well, I've pretty much gotten this all incorporated. I'm not seeing any lumps. It worked really well. Let me just tell you, if your water is too cold, the milk paint will not stir in as well. And if it's too hot, you almost cook it and it can get really thick and it kind of looks like cottage cheese if the water is too hot. So make sure that it's just tepid water. You don't want it too cold. You don't want it too hot. You just kind of want it room temperature. Now I'm going to go ahead and add the remaining amount of water. Remember, I had 2 scoops of the paint and I only used 1 scoop, if you want to call it a scoop of the water. So I'm going to add some more now. And before I add it, let me just say, the consistency that we're looking for in this paint is like running off like a ribbon. And we're almost doing that, even though I've only used half of the amount of water. So I'm not going to add the full amount of water here. I'm only going to add half. So I fill that up about halfway and I'm going to pour it in. And that's all I'm going to add because I don't think I'm going to need any more. The conditions of the weather conditions, whether or not you're in air conditioning or a heated room, all these factors can play into it. So when you add the second half of your water, don't add the full amount unless you think you need it. And I've also noticed that with Miss Mustard Seed milk paint, the lighter shades of color require less water. I'm not sure why. So that's it to getting it all stirred and incorporated. The next step is just waiting. You've got to wait about 15 or 20 minutes for all those powders to absorb into the water. And it looks, visibly, it looks like it's all absorbed. But as we go, as time goes by, this is going to thicken up a little bit as it absorbs a little bit more. So I just set it aside and I leave it there. This is a good time to prep your project. It's a good time to have a cup of coffee while you wait. But there you have it. That's how I mix Miss Mustard Seed milk paint. Wasn't that easy? A little bit of powder, a little bit of water, some stirring, and you've got milk paint all mixed up, ready for your project. And I can't wait to get this project painted. See ya.